Hello, welcome to the Security Update with me, Hamse Daabjeerin. In this program, we will be covering for you the latest stories that matter security in the African countries from West to Horn of Africa. Ahead on the program, US breaks silence on recent airstrike in Somalia. Man accused of trying to twist up President ties in custody. Thousands of Ethiopians rally in support of Abiy Ahmed. Nigeria intensifies fights against insecurity, acquires 6 new fighter jets. Welcome to the program. The United States of America has claimed recent airstrikes in some parts of Somalia. The government said the target was Al-Shabaab fighters. This week, the United States Congresswoman Ilhan Omar demanded more information for the Biden administration to launch these attacks. The United States of America claimed responsibility for airstrikes in Somalia on Friday and said it was part of Somalia forces' effort to remove Al-Shabaab fighters out of the remaining areas in the country, and the U.S. conducted these airstrikes for the support of Somalia forces. U.S. Africa Command targeted Al-Shabaab with 2 airstrikes on July 20 and July 23rd, following a nearly 6-month hiatus that began when President Joe Biden took office. The Somalia military has been embroiled in fierce struggle on the ground with Al-Shabaab in Galmudug state, the region targeted in both U.S. strikes. On Saturday, the U.S. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar criticized the attack and demanded more clarification for Biden administration to launch these airstrikes in Somalia. Ilhan Omar has repeatedly criticized successive administrations for not providing monetary reparations for civilian victims of U.S. drone attacks in Somalia and for the Pentagon's continued failure to acknowledge the atrocities. Ilhan Omar, the first Somali American elected to Congress, an outspoken critic of U.S. militarism, on Friday sent a letter to President Joe Biden questioning his rationale behind his first drone strikes in Somalia earlier this week and seeking to hold his administration accountable for promise it made to compensate families of civilians killed by American airstrikes.
United States Africa Command AFRICOM said Friday that the July 20th strike targeted Al-Shabaab fighters in the vicinity of Galkayo and that the command's initial assessment is that no civilians were injured or killed in the bombing. United States Marine Corps Brigadier General Thomas Savage, AFRICOM's Deputy Director of Operations, said the strike was conducted under Collective Self-Defense Authority, which according to the Pentagon means the military did not need White House approval for the action. In a letter, the Minnesota Democrat wrote that collective self-defense is a term with variable meanings in national and international law, and especially in the context of the ongoing review of airstrike authorities, its use merits further explanation. In this case, Omar said under the Trump administration, airstrike in Somalia increased dramatically with no apparent gains in either weakening Al-Shabaab, advancing Somali security and stability, or pursuing American interest in the region. On the contrary, the increase in strikes corresponded with an almost doubling of attacks on civilians committed by Al-Shabaab. It is critical that we realize we're not going to simply drone the Al-Shabaab problem to death, and that any kinetic action is part of a broader strategy focused first and foremost on the security of Somali people and the stability of the Somali state, she added.
I mean, the strategy of this administration is always concerning to me. When we are engaging in droning in the dark of the night, we risk killing civilians, and we risk really having those actions then in turn act as a recruitment tool. This horrible cycle that we have been in Somalia needs to end. And our hope is that with more transparency, with more accountability, with more conversations, we will be able to win this war.
Omar has repeatedly criticized successive administrations for not providing monetary operation for civilian victims of U.S. drone attacks in Somalia and for the Pentagon's continued failure to acknowledge the atrocities. While AFRICOM last year acknowledged carrying out 46 precision airstrikes targeting Al-Shabaab fighters, it did not mention any civilian casualties resulting from the attacks. However, last July, Amnesty International said the U.S. had carried out at least 189 airstrikes in Somalia since 2017 and that In just 9 of these attacks, 21 civilians were killed and 11 others were injured.
A man accused of trying to assassinate Mali's interim president Assimi Goïta last week has died in custody. In a statement, officials said he died in custody after the state of his health deteriorated, and adding that he died in hospital.
A man accused of trying to assassinate Mali's interim president Assimi Goïta last week has died in custody. In a statement, officials said he died in custody after the state of his health deteriorated, adding that he died in a hospital. The government said it ordered an autopsy to determine the cause of the suspect's death. The late attacker has tried to stab Mali's transitional president, Colonel Assimi Goïta, during Eid al-Adha celebrations in the Grand Mosque in Bamako, Mali's capital. Witnesses said the incident happened after the imam went to slaughter sheep at the mosque in the capital. One man with a knife and another with a gun participated in the attack. Goïta was not hurt and his security team quickly took him away, but one person was injured. Central Mali has been the target of several attacks by insurgents in recent days. Military strongman Colonel Goïta has risen to power after staging 2 coups in less than a year. Goïta is currently assuming Mali's presidency for a transitional period of 18 months after an agreement between the Malian coup leaders and the West African State Regional Bloc, ECOWAS.
Thousands of people rallied in Ethiopian capital Addis Ababa to support Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed as the country continues its fight against the Tigray People's Liberation Front's rebels.
Thousands of people rallied in the Ethiopian capital, Addis Ababa, to support Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed as the country continues its fight against the Tigray People's Liberation Front rebels. Some of the protesters condemned the TPLF and called it a cancer, while others commended the Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed for filling the $4 billion Grand Renaissance Dam. The filling of the dam has angered Egypt and Sudan, who feared the dam will have negative impact on their access to water from River Nile. At the pro-government rally, the deputy mayor of Addis Ababa, Adanesh Abebe, said Ethiopia is a country founded on a solid rock that could never be shagged, with conspiracies being orchestrated by internal and external forces that don't want the united Ethiopia.
Enemies from within and historical enemies from outside are scared of our reforms and are working together and tirelessly to disturb our sovereignty, to disrupt our national unity and our journey to prosperity.
The deputy mayor said Ethiopia has been registering various successes by overcoming a number of challenges, while adding that the new development proves Ethiopians are capable of anything, provided that they are united. The international community has condemned Abiy Ahmed regarding the conflict in Tigray. Meanwhile, an official said attacks by Tigrayan fighters in Ethiopia's Afar region has forced more than 54,000 people from their homes. Afar regional spokesman alleged that Tigrayan forces burned down houses, looted the region and killed civilians, although his claims cannot be independently verified.
Tigray Southern neighbor Amhara is now sending a mobilization call to its residents who are of age and army to come together in the battle against rebels from conflict-torn Tigray.
In what state media is calling a survival campaign, a statement on Sunday from the region's president Agegnahu Tishagar mirrored that of his Afar counterpart, the need to come together to fight the enemy in the north. Amhara borders Tigray to the south, and the two countries are embroiled in a decades-old land dispute that has become central to the 8-month-old war in Tigray.
Starting from tomorrow, I call on all people of age who are armed either at government or private level to mobilize for a survivor campaign.
Now, the statements bring to light the potential of the Tigray war drawing in the rest of the politically fragile country. Mr. Agegnahu was relentless in his call, further stating the support they were receiving from civil servants in the region was overwhelming. Now, Prime Minister Abiy 2019's Nobel Prize laureate sent federal troops into Tigray last November to overthrow the region's ruling party, the Tigray People's Liberation Front, a move he said was in response to TPLF attacks on federal camps. Now, despite the ceasefire last month, clashes have continued, and officials from 6 regions and the city of Diridhawa have since said they would send troops to back the government forces. Last week, the Tigrayans pushed their offensive to Afar, where they said they plan to target troops for the Amhara region who were fighting alongside the federal military in the area. Afar is a strategic region for landlocked Ethiopia because the main road and railway linking the capital Addis Ababa with the seaport of Djibouti runs through it.
For the past few months, theft and street robbery has been widely increasing in some districts of Panadi region of Somalia. Sometimes militia belonging to 2 different groups fight in the process of stealing public properties. The police have spoken out about these recurrent security problems in the region, but we will be back after the short break.
Hello out there. Tune in to CBA TV, the voice of East Africa and beyond. There's so many people around the world who are watching along with you. Welcome back to the program. For the past few months, theft and street robbery has been widely increasing in some districts of Panadi region of Somalia. Sometimes militia belonging to 2 different groups fight in the process of stealing public properties. The police have spoken out about these recurrent security problems in the region. Somalia police disclosed a number of militia related to the growing theft and street robbery in the country. The police said they apprehended the suspects during a security operation. The deputy spokesperson of Somalia police who spoke to the media said that the suspects were apprehended during a gun battle between their groups over disagreement to share equally on the amount of money they stole from businesses. The short-lived gun battle between the 2 militias left the death of 4 people, including 1 female. Security forces said the 9 suspects were armed with AK-47 rifles by the time they were arrested. Other suspects connected to this case who escaped from the scene are still on the hunt. Since the collapse of the Somalia central government in 1991, the Horn of Africa state has been experiencing various crimes, including assassinations, explosives, inter-clan conflict, a high level of theft and robbery cases. The Council of Presidential Candidates of Somalia said the country's Prime Minister Mohamed Hussein Roble has made a right decision to fire senior NISA officials on Friday after they blocked notable figures from traveling Mogadishu to Garbahari district. The coalition of presidential candidates of Somalia, which brought together 8 presidential candidates and former Prime Minister, welcomed the expulsion of 2 senior NISA officials by the Prime Minister Mohamed Hussein Roble on Friday.
A statement released by the Council of Presidential Candidates stated that the Prime Minister has taken the right decision and kept his promise to fight against blocking politicians traveling from one region to another during the election process. They urged the President to avoid abuse of laws and electoral processes. Yesterday, the Prime Minister fired Abdullahi Kulane, NISA Chief of Staff, and Abdulwahab Sheikh Ali, the head of NISA at Mogadishu's airport, after they prevented political figures including Usman Muallimo, the former governor of Geda region, from traveling Mogadishu to Geda region. Usman Muallimo, who spoke to CBA Somali service shortly after he was denied travel, described the move as misfortune and politically motivated. The move comes days after Prime Minister Roble directed the security agencies not to block politicians from visiting their constituencies. Prime Minister Roble warned the security officials against barring the politicians from traveling to their areas ahead of the parliamentary elections.
10 Nigerians who hijacked a Chinese fishing vessel and kidnapped crew members in May last year have been sentenced to 12 years. The first custodial sentence under an anti-piracy law passed in 2019.
A federal high court judge also ordered the guilty men to pay a fine of $600, equivalent to €435, and said they were an embarrassment to the nation that had impacted the economic negatively.
The verdict was handed, and each of them were convicted as charged. And we had a 4-count charge. The court found them guilty of all the counts and convicted them accordingly. Each of them is sentenced to 12 years imprisonment on each of the counts. Cumulatively, they have a maximum of 48 years to spend. But the good news for them is that those years is going to run concurrently, and is to commence from July last year. And it will be recalled that during the attack, they've recovered some money which was stolen from the victims of the pirate attack, and those monies were asked to be forfeited to the federal government in view of the fact that the victims have long returned back to their respective countries.
This is the court of first instance. As a matter of fact, we are taking the judgment immediately. We want to study it, and we are definitely climbing upstairs. We are going to challenge the judgment, and of course there are some areas that we are not comfortable with personally on our part, because the issue we advocated before the judge, or canvassed before the judge, to my mind, our client ought not to be guilty.
Pirates were convicted of hijacking the Chinese merchant ship FV Helifeng 2 in the Gulf of Guinea in 2020. Kidnap attacks against ships of ransom have become common in the Gulf of Guinea, which runs from Senegal to Angola, taken in the southwest coast of Nigeria, as well as the jail terms. A fine each of men 250,000 naira, equivalent to $610 US. The Navy rescued 18 crew members on board the Chinese vessel from pirates on May 15, 2020, also arresting their 10 captors. In August last year, a court in southern Nigeria made the first convictions under the new anti-piracy law, which fined 3 men for hijacking a tanker off the coast of Equatorial Guinea and securing a $200,000 US ransom for the crew. The merchant shipping industry has long pressed Nigeria to take action in the seas in the region, which has been dubbed Piracy Alley. The area accounts for over 90% of maritime kidnappings globally, according to the International Maritime Bureau.
The fight against terrorism, banditry and mass kidnapping has received a massive boost as Nigeria takes delivery of the first batch of the Nigerian Air Force A-20 Super Tucano aircraft in Kano.
Nigeria has received 6 Super Prop light attack aircraft from the United States to help fight insecurity affecting different parts of the country. The Minister of Defense, Major General Bashir Salihi Magashi, retired, officially took the delivery of the aircraft in Kano, northern Nigeria. On hand to receive the aircraft with General Magashi were the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahya, and his counterpart, Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Oladayo Amao. The Defense Minister therefore performed the symbolic ceremony of unveiling the Nigerian flag on the aircraft. He was later joined by the service chiefs on hand for the on-spot inspection of the Super Tucano aircraft. According to a statement by the Special Assistant to the Minister of Defense on Media and Publicity, Muhammad Abdelkadir, the new addition to the fleet of the Nigerian Air Force is one of the 6 aircraft being expected to boost the capabilities of the service in the theaters of combat. The statement also added that the second batch of the A-29 Super Tucano is expected to arrive in the country before the end of the year. Already, the Nigerian Air Force authorities have started training personnel to handle the new aircraft, which it says is the most crucial air power component that must be enhanced and sustained for effective and efficient performance.
Notorious army group is otherwise known as bandits who kidnapped students of Bethel Baptist High School in Kaduna, northern Nigeria. On Sunday, released 28 of students who were in captive for about 20 days.
At least 28 abducted students of the Bethel Baptist Secondary School in Chikum local government area of Kaduna State, northern Nigeria, have been freed by the abductors. The students who regained their freedom in the early hours of Sunday were among the 121 students abducted on July 8 at the school premises. The chairman of the Kaduna State chapter of Christian Association of Nigeria, Joseph Ayab, confirmed the developments.
We wanted all of them to come back the way all of them were taken, but we are having them in badges. But let's accept it this way and hope that the distance or the gap between this first batch and second batch will not be long, and we'll have the whole children back.
Some of the parents expressed their joy as they were reunited with their children.
I'm overwhelmed. I cannot mention the joy that is in my heart now. I cannot even mention it. There is nothing I can say about it now because the joy is too much. As this boy has come back, this is God's faithfulness. As this boy has come back, the rest will surely come back.
Many things. Whether he will be killed, because it has been happening. Some parents will pay ransom and they will kill the children. But I pray that God will spare him and God will spare him. So I'm grateful to God.
CBA TV earlier reported that bandits raided the school on the 5th of July 2021 and kidnapped 121 students after killing 2 military personnel. Security agents were to later rescue one of the students who was found in the bush wandering together with 2 other victims. Similarly, 2 more students managed to escape from the kidnappers' den when they were asked to go and fetch firewood by the bandits. Ishaya Jangado, President Baptist Conference, Kaduna, said the bandit promised to be releasing the children in batches.
By the grace of God, I've been talking with these people, and they told me they will be releasing the children in batches. Are you getting me very well? Yes. They will release them in batches, and they have released the first batch. I'm trusting God that very soon again, the others will come.
While information around the adopted students remains sketchy, Mr. Hayab said he is optimistic about the voluntary release of over 80 others in the bandits' den. Also speaking, the President Baptist Convention briefed the press on what the state government has done.
I cannot say exactly what he has done because he himself was not ready to give us the details of what he will be doing. But he said he was going to do something. Whatever it is he has done, all we know, God has released these children. We have been praying, we have been struggling, and God has released them.
And with that story of notorious armed group is otherwise known as bandits who kidnapped the students of Bethel Baptist High School in Kaduna, northern Nigeria, which released 28 of the students who were in captive for about 20 days. We'll wrap up our program for this time. Thank you very much for being with us. This is me, Hamse Daabjeerin.